that doesn't want to be probed, and then he's going to be the top law official in the laws probing everybody else. That doesn't quite work. But I think that some of these picks will not get confirmed by the Senate, even though that the Republicans run the House and the Senate. I still think that the Senate is going to scrutinize some of these picks, and I think somebody like a Matt Gaetz just won't get through. I mean, what do you think? I think he won't get through. I think that we really need to take a look at things like that when we're trying to be the top. So who else has he got? So got Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Robert Kennedy, the health secretary, he's going mad. Now they threw Robert Kennedy out there because they were like, oh, Robert Kennedy is talking about all this health stuff and all of this and all of that. And then all of a sudden his Trump, all of his picks were about, the health and the food and things like that nature. And then they have a big pic of them on the plane with McDonald's, Mike Johnson, President Trump, Robert Kennedy, Don Jr. They had him on the plane with some McDonald's like this. But I think they owe McDonald's, a little promotion, because McDonald's, after President Trump went to work for McDonald's stocks went down, and a whole bunch of people started suing them, food poisoning and all this other stuff. So we got to think about that as well, right? So we've got Dr. Oz now. Still kind of weird pick for me, right? Dr. Oz, who is not board certified, but he's going to head the Department of Medicare. He's going to oversee Medicare and Medicaid. So I think what Trump is doing is he's telling people, look, we've got to make money in this country, and we want to trim the fat in places. So people are going to have to get off of their butts, okay? And so that's what the difference, I think, in this administration and other administrations going forward is what we're going to have, and what we're going to look at is that we've got to look at this differently. We can't just sit back and think this government is going to work for us. We've got to make this government make sense for us. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's where we're at with that. Then you've got Elon Musk and Vivek. I don't want to say his last name, but Elon Musk and Vivek, they are heading the Department of I forget what it's called, but they are heading a department together, and they are looking at, again, trimming the fat across the board. I'll get that in 1 second for you. Linda McMahon, he has tapped for Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon's wife, former wife from the WWE, the World Wrestling Federation. He tapped her last time she was in small business, and this time she's going to be the Department of Education. And so she had ran the small business department before, and now he's tapped her to be his cabinet position for the Department of Education. So what are you thinking about these picks? How do you feel? They're all weird to us because they're not natural picks, right? They're not the natural way that we would normally look at stuff. But we've got, again, we're in a new world. This is the new America, and we are the new Americans. And so we have kind of got to look at things a little differently, okay? So Trump had talked about wanting to close down the Department of Education. So I think that what he's doing at this point is he's hiring folks that will go along with his process, right? Go along with his program. I want to shut down the Department of Education. Are you going to help me do that? Okay, you're hired. I kind of think that's kind of what's going on right now, right? Then we got Pete Hegseth. Forgive me if I'm saying his name wrong. And so Secretary of Defense. And this is the one that I was kind of like, well, wait a minute. He was a Fox News host, but he's also a veteran, and he also has, he's also celebrated in a lot of ways, but we know him as the Fox News host, and Trump liked his ideas. I really don't like that. I really don't like how they speak. I need a Rumsfeld or a Colin Powell. At least let's pull Condi Rice back out, because we need that strong, stern person, not somebody that was on TV like myself, running the Department of Defense. And right now, we got to make sure that goes really well, the Department of Defense, because we're in trouble. And have you heard about this Ukraine and Biden with the missiles? We will definitely get to that in 1 second, because then this is why the Department of Defense has to be strong, and whoever is running that also has to be strong by nature as well. So what else do we have? We have Marco Rubio. I don't know what he was hiring for, but he is tapping Marco Rubio and Howard Lutnick for commerce. I've got to look more into Lutnick as far as what he's talking about is the Secretary of Commerce and the money and how that's going to move and things. And so I definitely want to tap into that a little bit more and see what they're looking at there. Okay. So what else do we got? We have the Senate hearing. And so the majority of these picks are they need to be confirmed. Okay, so that, like I said, everybody is not going to be confirmed. About 1,000 positions that he's going to hire is going to require a Senate approval. Okay, so it's just not cut and dry as we're seeing it. And sometimes, like I said, with Matt Gaetz, I think that he's paying him back and saying, listen, if they confirm you, then you're down. And if they don't, we got to think about that too. But we really got to look at, and keep our eye on what's going on. And I'm glad that, this all has us on the edge, pins and needles, because we really need to be involved in the process. And so, like I said, he's trying to bypass the FBI background checks. Now, if you're going to do it for them, you've got to do it for everybody. You can't bypass FBI background checks for the top officials in the country and then tell us, the regular people, that we've got to go through background checks. So I don't know what we're looking at. But I think that for the most part, we're going to be okay. And so there has been no Black picks at this time. And so now that's something that we've got to look at too, is that there have been no Black picks. Black Americans that that rallied for him. You got Vivek, you've got his woman as and then there was another woman, what's her name? Linda McMahon, Elon Musk, Vivek, and there's another woman, the South Dakota. She's from the governor of South Dakota. He tapped her for a position as well. But the Black people that jump behind him we haven't seen any people of color except Vivek in position right this minute. I don't want to say it's not going to happen, but you've got Ben Carson, who was the Secretary of Housing and Development the last time. That didn't work. Heart surgeon, now you Housing and Urban Development. No. So I don't think they're doing it again. Tim Scott was actually picked for running the U.S. Senate reconfirmations. So Tim is battling in a lot of money right here, because once all of that happens, then it's a go with Tim, right? So Tim is definitely in a great position. So he did move. So Tim is going to be picking new senators and running the fundraising campaigns for that. I know it's a little dark. As soon as I go to break, I will definitely lighten up a little bit, because I know you want to see me. I want to see myself. Okay, so you've got Byron Donalds, hasn't been picked for anything, the congressman out of Florida. He did a lot of stomping on the trails. And maybe Byron doesn't want to leave Florida. We've got to look at that too, right? Mark Robinson, well, he messed up. The lieutenant governor that ran for governor of North Carolina that was acting up, so he ain't coming up with nothing. I don't see that. You got Candace Owens. I think Candace might be making more money on TV and doing her podcast than she would as a position in the office. I don't know what Candace's background is outside of that. Then you've got Herschel Walker, and then Daniel Cameron, who was the former attorney general. These are the people that they put right out that were stomping. Shout out to everybody else that was out there for Trump, people of color. You know what I'm not liking? You got Mark Rubio, that's a Spanish man. He's going to get something. He's of Cuban descent. But, we do need to make this cabinet look like America across the board. And I think that's very, very important. And I don't put it past them. And a lot of people are like, oh, we told you this is the Ku Klux Klan. Now, what's happening in a lot of states is that Ku Klux Klan like people or white nationalists, whatever you call them, are popping out. In Columbus, Ohio, they talking about niggers, bow down. I have to use the language because that's what they're saying. And it's very hurtful. Bow down to who? Bow down to what? Do you really think in 2025 that we're bowing down? I don't think so. So all you're doing is causing a little trouble that we don't need, right? And then a friend of mine, Lauren Bates, out in Indiana, said that they are putting leaflets and pamphlets in the mailbox and saying that we want these migrants to go. So there has been a resurgence of white supremacy and white thought powers in our community. But what does that mean at the end of the day? They just want to get their message out. They just want to be heard as well. So we will see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back with some more details. I'm going to lighten up a little bit, and I'm going to come back with some more details of what we're doing in 2025, January 20th, 2025. What are the first things off of President Trump's table, his first actions in his first 100 days that he's pledged to do so far. So we'll be right back here on the New American Perspective on Millennium News 24. I'm Jania Butler, and I'm your host, and I'll be back with you in a second. And we are back, a little lighter, but just good enough for right now. So what is President Trump going to do in his first 100 days, in his first week? What can he do in his first week in office? That's what we really need to look at, and that's what we really need to do. Now, he's pledged, obviously, in the first week to immigration, right? So he's ready to erect an age-old law about pulling people out and getting them out of the country right away, okay? So this is going to be something that everybody is worried about. And I'm a little worried about it too, because you've got people that have come across the mountains, the rivers. I don't even know. I mean, somebody really needs to track this journey on how they really get here and what the process is. Now, they say some people were flown in by the Biden administration and to come here as well. But what is that about? What is Biden? Why do they want all of these migrants and putting everybody in trouble? Because these people uprooted their lives for an opportunity. And yes, we want them to have the American opportunity. That's what America is about. But do we want it like this? There was a lot of Hispanics and Mexicans that voted for President Trump. So what is that saying? And they knew that their counterparts were going to get pulled out the country, yanked out the country. So what is that saying? But now we have to look forward to what are they getting ready for, right? Some of these people are gang members we've seen in Colorado, where the Venezuelan gangs have raided apartment buildings in Chicago. They're fighting and all this kind of stuff. So what happens from there? What happens when now Trump is going to bring in ICE, asking no questions, and laws are, they have no rights, no American rights, no nothing, and you got to go. Pick you up and you got to go. Men, women, children, and families. Now they are going to start with the people who have broken the law first, and I think that's where they should start. But it seems like there's no questions going to be asked about whether or not they're ready to go, right? So that's the first week. This will be the largest deportation of immigrants in U.S. history. Okay. So again, this is not something that I'm, happy and proud about. I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to newfound citizens that broke the law, because if they can break the law, why can't we break the law? Right? I can't break the law in America. I'm going to jail. So I already know that. So now new citizens are coming in and they're breaking the law off the bat, and you think they're going to follow along with the process? I don't think so. We got to really take a look at that. And so he's tapped on Tom Homan as his border czar. Now, Tom, he ran the border before, right? And so now he already knows what's going on. And so this is one of the picks that I do like, because he already knows the process. He already knows what's going on and where we need to go with this. And so he's kind of already swift. I know what's happening. He's, we already know that he's gung-ho in, because he didn't like, the people sneaking in as they were coming, and the Biden administration going around him. So he's going to do a good job, I think, if the good job is actually having the people be, escorted out of, America, right? It was the South Dakota Senator, Governor Kristi Noem. So that was who I was talking about, that he also hired as well. So again, we've got all these picks. We really don't know them. We really don't know whether they're going to be pro-American or pro-white nationalist. We really don't know. And we're going to hope for the best. We're going to trust you, President Donald Trump, but get the job done. And we need some people of color in there as well. We are 14% of the population, and it needs to reflect that in your administration. Okay, so there's still the picks of housing and urban development is open. The Treasury is open. Where are we going with this? We need some people of color, President Trump and the rest of y'all. Y'all getting what y'all want, but make it make sense for everybody. Okay, and so what else we got going on? So John Smith, who President Trump had vowed to fire, he's going to resign, so he's getting out the way. He had prosecuted President Trump earlier, and now President Trump said, as soon as I get over there, I'm going to fire him. So he said, nah, you ain't going to fire me, my man. Not this time, my man. You're not going to fire me. And so he's getting out of Dodge before we get there. Now, we also, let me just make sure that I covered everything. He wants to end the birthright citizenship. Now, if you look, remember that crazy comedian that was at the MSG rally that had talked about, the Mexicans were having all these babies, or was it Hispanics? I'm not sure. But if you look around, I was walking through New York and everybody had a baby. And I'm like, what are they taking in vitro? What is going on? But they all have babies because there's birthright citizenship, right? And so that means that if you have a child on American soil, that child now becomes an American citizen. But now the parents are not American citizens, so that's why it doesn't make any sense. Because how could the child who can't walk by himself be an American citizen, but the parents who you want to deport not have their citizenship as well? So he wants to end right birthright citizenship. And I think so too, because they're running over here and they are running and having babies, and that's what they're doing. They're playing the game. They're playing it up. They are putting themselves in position. And like I said, I'd never knock the hustle, right? They going hard in the paint for what they are looking for and what their community needs for them. They're going hard for that. But what do we do as a response? Do we take them in? Then you have Mayor Adams here in New York. Mayor Adams actually stopped. Remember, he had the $350 a week for, I think it was like 2,500 migrants. I think it was 2,500, something like that. But he was giving them $350 a week, more than anybody. Like, how do you give that more than to a New Yorker that's been working hard, that's really looking for something? $350 a week will boost you to the next level. And you gave this to migrants that came over and broke the law. So Mayor Adams had a call with President Trump. After that call, he said he's ending that $350, no questions asked. Okay. So what was that about? So now people are saying that Mayor Adams has some stake with President Trump. And Mayor Adams, you just need to go ahead and flip Republican, because we know the Republicans know where you're at with it. So you just need to go ahead and flip Republican and go all the way in and commit. And so I saw Mayor Adams at a press conference recently, and they asked him, so is your stance changing now that you need President Trump to pardon you or help you out with your legal affairs? And he was like, oh no, I'm a stance. I'm gonna do what's right, and I'm gonna make sure that they get treated with dignity. And he wouldn't answer whether he was gonna let ICE run up on him or not. But he is, because he's not about to go to jail just because the migrants are here. Okay, so we already know that he's not doing that. All his people then got kicked out. He ain't said nothing about them. He ain't said, oh, well, I wish my people were in place. Nothing. We heard nothing from him. So we know that he's not standing up for a migrant that far. Now, he did his job and he did what he said he was going to do initially, right? Because it was his fault. He thought, remember, let's just go back a little bit. Mayor Adams thought in the beginning that the federal government was going to back him up. The Biden administration was going to back him up when he said New York is a sanctuary city and the migrants can come here. Okay? They did not. He put his foot in his mouth, and now we've got, I think, over 200,000 migrants in the city that he told, you're welcome here. And so he backed it up, and they sent the buses and they set them up and all that, and they ruined New York under Mayor Adams' regime. Okay, so now he did what he could. I'm not going to knock the brother. He did what he could at the end of the day to help out these people like he said he was. And it's an overhaul from New York. And it almost bankrupt New York. And we're in crazy times in New York right now. And if they just okayed the congestion pricing again. Now, President-elect Trump, we're going to need you to kick in again, like you said, that you're going to axe the tax on your first week. So we need that to happen in the first week to President Trump. Axe that tax. Now, they went from $15 to $9, but it's still a lot because, they're acting like basically it's a classism thing. Like, certain people don't care because they want less traffic in the city. They want to get out the city faster. And so the rest of the people in New York, I mean, if you don't have any money, do you want to pay an extra $9 to get past 60th Street? If you live in the Bronx and if you live in Harlem or Queens and Brooklyn, so if you live anywhere outside of Manhattan, they're basically saying, don't come here or pay us to come. So is that really fair to the rest of the city when the epicenter is there, right there in the city? I don't think that's fair. I think that makes it stop eating American citizens. Okay. They picked up the no more shame. Now pick up, stop eating the American citizens. We've got to stop eating our people and make it easier, not harder, for us to move around. And so that's the part where we're at right now. Is this going to, the Trump administration, going to make it better for us, or we're going to struggle a little? Now, I did hear Elon say, oh, we're going to go through a little bit, with a little money. But Elon, don't sit around with all this money and then make it hard for us. You understand what I'm saying? Tap in. You want to send people to space and all this stuff. Well, make sure that we're good, because again, in the first week, President Trump said he's going to end inflation, and he's got a team that he wants results in the first 100 days. And so we need that, right? Now President Trump only has 4 more years, so he's not running for re-election, but he is running for the next Republican up. So we really got to take a look at all those things and how we're looking at that, right? So what else is happening in the first week? So we've got the Title X. So Title X is about not mentioning abortion in conversations when you're talking to a pregnant woman and you're talking to their about their options and not putting it in. Now, we talked about abortion, right? And Roe versus Wade was knocked down nationally, but now it's up to each state to decide how that state is going to go forward. So in many of the big states, it's not going to be affected. But in some of the smaller states that want the population to go up, they're going to try to, get a woman to keep a baby, adoption, and things of that nature before they say kill that baby, because we need our birth rates to go up. Okay. And so I like I said, I'm pro-choice. I've chose throughout my life. But at the same time, I don't believe that we should be petitioning abortion and, we need abortions and we need to be able to kill our babies, because what that puts in our mind is that, in our children's mind, that, may be making these mistakes, and we need to teach our children abstinence, because that's the best possible road is abstinence. So we need to be teaching more of that, instead of saying, well, you're not going to be able to get an abortion. Let's make sure that our kids don't have to get abortions, right? And let's build great families. We do need more people. We do need more people. We do need more numbers. We do need all these things. And again, I don't want to take a woman's rights away at all. That's not even a thought in my mind. But I also know that we are very impressionable people, and how we approach things is how we get it. Now, I don't like these states that, no matter what's happening, if the complications are going on and things of that nature, that they're like, it doesn't matter. You could die and you have to go to another state. You might have to do that. But, you also have to vote in your state to make sure that they can't do those things. And if we get more involved in the process will be more involved for us. Okay, so we're going to take another break here on Millennium TV and the New American Perspective. I'm your host, Jania Butler, and we'll be right back with some more up-to-date news about what's happening in America. This is a new America, and we're the new Americans. So I'll talk to you in a minute. I'll be right back after the break. And we are back. I'm just checking out the other things that we got to talk about. So in this first week, he talked about the pardons for January 6th. So what are they going to look like, right? So the pardons for January 6th, the January 6th insurrectionists that, supposedly had, ransacked the White House on behalf of uh, President Trump. Well, they might be getting out soon after President Trump takes office. So, what is that going to look like? And what kind of, America is very divided because some people are still mad that Kamala did not win the election, even though that I thought that the media really played a part in how people felt about it, especially for Black Americans, right? Black Americans thought that our numbers were good enough and, we could get out the vote and we could change what was happening going forward. But that wasn't quite the numbers weren't, the numbers were skewed. And so CNN, they went down, MSNBC, their numbers went down, all because people are realizing that these news spots are lying to them and becoming more opinion based than factual based. And people want to hear the facts. We can hear your opinion about it. We know that you're pro this and pro that, but they will do anything to get people to believe them and get people to go in their way. And that is not the America that we want to see. That is the America that we voted out. And so again, we voted out that America. Now, I hope that Trump puts together an America that is for everybody and that everybody that he is putting in, even though that they're far right, or that see an America for everybody, because we're going to fight. You got a lot of activists that's going to put up a lot of legal challenges for the immigration situation and things of that nature. So you got the pardons, and then you've got the Paris Climate Agreement with withdrawal. And see, this is what I don't like about our country, because, Biden, he withdrew. Biden got us, President Trump, when he was originally in office, he withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement. Then Biden got back in office and he put us back in there. So then now President Trump is going to withdraw again. So is anything happening while we're going back and forth? And so we got another 4 years. Is the next president going to withdraw? Is the next president going to stay in? Can we focus on it? We don't know. So that's our big thing, right? Going forward is what is really happening. So then let's get to the big news right now, the Russia-Ukraine situation. Now, President Trump has vowed in his first week to end the whole conflict in one day. So he talked to President Zelensky for about an hour and a half, right? And for that hour and a half, he was like, yo, relax, I'm coming in, this, that, and the third. Now, Putin, they denied that Trump talked to him and told him to relax and don't be trying to escalate nothing. But you got now President Biden over here sending Ukraine longer missiles so they can hit Russia before President Trump gets in office. And I really don't like this, right? Because why can't you just sit back and relax? Why would you do this in the middle of a transition? Now, Putin already said, if some American missiles hit over here, I'm going to act. So is he brolic? Is he gangster? What's going on? So now that they already sent the missiles, Biden then sent the missiles, about $40 more billion of our money going over to Ukraine. So what's up with that? He didn't go and ask nobody. He just doing this under the table. And see, this is the indecisiveness that we think about the American people and the Biden administration as it is right now. Because even the Young Turks was like, thanks, Biden. Thanks for, defying the people's confidence yet again in the Democratic Party. Because why would you send those missiles? We don't want to go to war. So who are you representing and what are you doing? We need to chin check you and we need to pack your pockets down to see what's going on, because that was a move that I didn't understand. Now, I had posted something like that on Instagram, and somebody tapped back and was like, listen, well, they've got the Chinamen, they all lined up, ready to go. Okay, they're lined up. But that doesn't mean that we got the bus with the missile and the U.S. missile going over there hitting, and then they hit something in China too. What? Do we need this right now? And so I am inclined to believe that they do not want the American people on to get real money, because I think they keep putting out these distractions that are getting in our way when we want to focus. The American people want to focus on getting back, and focus on the inflation going down, focus on making money, focus on cryptocurrency. That's the type of Americans we are. We don't want to be at war. So why would you do this and throw everything in a tizzy? So day one, President Trump gets back in office. He got to take over the war, and so he can't do nothing because Putin is trying to bust at us and get back at us. And even in this little window, what if they bust back at us in this little window? So what they going, Biden, you think you could this is your last ditch effort? He over there in the rainforest. You seen him standing in the rainforest? He over there in the rainforest. Oh, this is the first sitting president to go to the rainforest and talk about he want to save the rainforest. Sir, if you don't go sit down somewhere, I think that he should be withdrawn right now, because they was talking about how they wanted Kamala, she could still be the first woman president. She could still be the first woman president, if Biden sits down right now. Because this dude right here, he ain't making no sense, okay? I don't know. He seems, and here's another funny thing. He seems a little better with his senileness now, doesn't he? He seems a little better. He's talking a little better. I don't know if his medication is better or what's going on, but I don't like these moves. So we got to talk about what is happening with him going forward, because if he keeps making these little nifty moves that are getting in our ways, we got to stop him. We can't have this. And, it's kind of like that's like a hater. This is what I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave you with a bomb. So he did sit down. He did sit down with President Trump. Did you see that? Sat down with President Trump. President Trump shook his hand. He didn't know what to expect. But he said, oh, yeah, the transition. This was before he sent the missiles. He said, oh, yeah, the transition is going to be smooth. Then he sends Russia the missiles. And what are we supposed to get out of that? People, please. What are we talking about here? Are we really paying attention to what is going on? And we need to really chin check this. So there's a lot going on. We got to think about Trump and who he's bringing in. Now we got to think about if Putin is sending nuclear bombs over here. We got the KKK popping up, talking about niggas go home. What is happening? Okay, and then what's going to happen with these people when the ICE comes and rips them up, the immigrants and the immigration system? What's going to happen then? Are they going to fight back? Are they going to fight for their rights to stay here? Are they going to try to turn, buildings upside down like they have been doing? What are they going to do? I believe that they got guns and they had AK-47s, but you let them all come through the border. This is why they can't come through the border. This is why we can't have people sneaking in the border. We don't even know what kind of weapons that they got going on. These are not rocks and stones, people. Okay, what else I got here for you? I want to hear from you. So go follow me on Instagram at Janea Butler, Jineea Butler, Butler. And then also follow Millennium News 24 so we can keep up to date. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think. I know on Facebook, a lot of people, hey, my Facebook fans, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. But I want to find out more of what you're thinking. I get, my 1-2s from my people directly, but then after that, I don't get anything. So I need you to tap in. And so there was a couple other people. The Homeland Security was Kristi Noem, the governor from South Dakota. And she had popped out. She's a little cute little white girl that had popped out a while back. And, she had supported President Trump. Veteran Affairs, Doug Collins, on the Department of Transportation, Sean Duffy. So we've got to see how all of this definitely plays out, because we want America to be great, and we don't want it to just be great for white folks. Let's be clear, President Trump. Okay, we're not going to play with you either. You got a little position, you got a little power, but you know God is watching you, and we are going to expect you to do right, and do right for all Americans. I am a citizen of America, and I expect to be treated as such by the police, by the government, by everybody in these cabinet positions, and that's that. You know, I've been a citizen of America all my life. I shouldn't have to be fighting, and neither should anybody else when they come in this country legally and they come after the American dream. And that's what we're looking to do, is revive the American dream. But that's for everybody. They're already Trump with the DEI hires. He talking about, oh, he going to persecute people that did the DEI. Come on now. I know white folks at times feel like they didn't get a job because a black person get a job. But a black person, I mean, are you just saying that you want all white people in your organization? Because you can't say that, the hiring practices, we know that the hiring practices are discriminatory. We know that there has been legal surveys on what has been going on in these communities. So how are you playing it out? How are you going to make sure that this is not, white America, and this is America for all? So we do have to make sure that. In other news, I want to tap in for our last 15, and I'll just finish out this piece. So who would you like to see out of the Black Americans? Now, I think that the pick of Black Americans that he has that have been loyal to him may not be the best for the job. And maybe you have to go a little deeper for that. And maybe we're looking for some deeper hires. Hint, hint, your girl, Department of Urban Development, I'm with it. Department of Housing and Urban Development, we with it. Okay? So if you need me, tap in, President Trump. I'm ready for you. Let's go. I'll be to see you anyway. So where are we? Yeah, so that's where we're at. We're going to go to another break, and then our last break, and then we'll talk about what's going on with Puffy and, his stuff, and everybody else out in the world that, we need to talk about too, because it's a lot going on. This is a new America, and we are the new Americans. I'm your host on the New American Perspective, Jania Butler, and we'll be right back on Millennium News 24. And we are back. Okay, so have you heard what is going on with your boy P. Diddy out here? And that's a political move too. We talk about a lot of politics here on the New American Perspective, but how do you feel about what's happening with Sean Puffy Combs? Now, a lot of stuff has happened with him. His kids is running up on people. They getting brolic, so Puffy has 5 kids. He has, I think I can name him. I don't know the name of the little baby Love. I do the name. So he's got the baby Love. He's got his 3 daughters. He's got, and is it 6? And 3 boys. Well, 5, because one is Albie Shore's son that he adopted. Right. So he's got Quincy, which is Albie Shore's son. He's got King Combs, which is Kim Porter's son, and he has Quincy and King are Kim Porter's sons, along with the twin girls. And then he's got Chance and Delilah, and I forget the twins' name, and then Justin. And so I remember Justin when you was born, and he had opened up Justin's in Manhattan. I believe it was on like 23rd or 20 something street, but it was good. I had the shrimp and grits for the first time there. When I was there, Stevie Wonder was there. I wasn't Patti LaBelle. I'd say Patti LaBelle. His mom was there, and she's Patti LaBelle's era. So it was really beautiful, and it was a time in New York. But now Puffy is really going through it. On Friday, he's got a new bail hearing. Now, this will be the third bail hearing that he's had. Two of them have been denied, where he had offered $50,000. He offered $50,000 for $50,000 home monitoring, nobody coming through, no women, no nothing, just the family. And the judge said no. And so now we're hearing that Puffy is in a Brooklyn detention center, federal detention center, and he's coercing the inmates. Now, I used to work on Rikers Island, so I know this to be true. And I'm sure he's in the dorm room. So in the dorms, you get close with everybody. It's about 50 inmates in a dorm, and everybody's spread out on beds. I always likened this to the beds being lined up like a slave ship, right? Because the beds are right next to each other. You just got enough room for your bed, your locker, and your shoes on the side. And then you've got your day room and all that kind of stuff. But everybody's out open, everybody's sitting on the bed, everybody talking. So now I'm assuming that Puffy is having a ball right now, because he knows that, there's no time limit on the time that he could be here. And he knows that his money is going to work for him in the jail. And so now what's happening is he supposedly, allegedly, is coercing the other inmates to use phone calls, to call people, to call different witnesses and things of that nature, to get them to, I guess, send them money and, pay them off early so he can get out of these charges that he has. He has over 120 charges, and more are coming forward. And I'm sure that everybody that was at the party, 120 people, is probably one whole freak off altogether, right? And so, so the other day, the feds actually raided Puffy's area, raided his little cell area, and took attorney-client privilege information, where Puffy had a manila envelope marked for his lawyers. And so he had handwritten notes that he was writing to his lawyers about witnesses and things of that nature. So the judge was ruling in his favor as of yesterday or today. The judge was ruling in his favor and saying that, listen, that is that does violate his rights. Now, here's my problem here. When we talk about violating Puffy's rights, let's also, Puffy, get in on violating everybody else's rights. Let's change the system, not just for people who have money, right? So how many times have they violated the rights of other young men and young women in the system and done the same similar things? Now, when the turtles come in, the turtles are, they're these armed, they've got on I guess they're bulletproof vests, but they call them turtles because they look like mutant ninja turtles, and they just come running in. So if you're just sitting there, you're sitting on your bed, you're having a good day, and you're talking to your homie, and then all of a sudden they're like, everybody up against the wall. So everybody got to get up against the wall. And I know this because I was in there. Everybody up against the wall. So even us as the employees, they told us to leave out of the room and don't, this doesn't have anything to do with you. When the turtles come in, your job is over for a couple minutes. So they came in, they took his stuff, they took pictures of his stuff, and they sent it to the prosecutors. So now they're asking, Puffy's team is asking for the prosecutors to be removed or the case to be dropped because they have violated his rights. The judge sided with them in that. And so Puffy has got, the first light of something good happening for him, and something looking like, he can live another day, that he will be out on the streets again. We don't know, but that's what's happening. So now, on Friday, he goes for another bail hearing. How is that going to work? Is he going to get out because of this? Now, was this something that Puffy coerced in there? Because now, I think I would be in there too. If I got $1 billion to spend, you think that I'm not going to, they trying to put me in jail for 30 years? You think that I'm not going to be like, yo, how much money do you need? Send a little raid in here and, get my case turned out, because he's, the inmates are fighting over him. The men, are fighting over him about making his bed and, and being his, butt buddy for the day. I don't know what you would call it, but they're fighting over him for commissary money and things and doing things for him. So he's having a ball. They're saying that he's running around talking about smile and all this other stuff. Well, we shall see what Puffy is up to coming up close. Then we have our guy Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson had a fight last week with a young guy, Jake Paul, 37-year-old. Is he 37? Mike Tyson's 58. And yeah, so Jake Paul is 37 now. Jake Paul, he's busting out as a new boxer. Now, every 60 million people watched this fight, wanted to see Mike Tyson, and it was divided, right? It was generationally divided. So it was a good marketing ploy. But if you know, Mike Tyson, about 6 months ago, Mike Tyson almost hit the deck and almost died. And he wasn't well. And we thought that, I thought that he shouldn't, he definitely shouldn't have gone in the ring, but he went in the ring. And last week, and he lost to Jake Paul because he wasn't throwing any things. I think Mike, at the end of the day, his legs got a little wobbly. We heard a great commentary from my friend Roy Jones. Great job, Roy Jones. Alizé Jones as well. My partner out there, Alizé Jones, doing big things with Courtside Consulting and Celebrity Boxing, right? So we do know a little bit that there is, some things going on in the ring. Alizé Jones actually put together the Roy Jones fight with Mike Tyson. And Roy said after that fight that Mike hits really hard, and Roy was feeling the pain after it. So now this was 4 years ago, but now Mike is 58 years old. And he got in the ring with this young fella, and the young fella won because he was swinging. Now, they didn't really hurt each other, and a lot of people are saying that this might have been a fixed fight. I'm not sure, but they made it. And Mike Tyson, he had a guaranteed 20 million. Now, with 60 million viewers, I'm sure he got more than that. So after the fight, Mike said, listen, I'm just happy that my kids could see me fight, see me in the ring, not see me get knocked out at 58 years old. And I think that's what Mike did. After a while, he said, if I go on my little spree, he might hit me upside my head and I might fall down. And I'm sure that his doctors put clauses in this contract that said, don't hit him like this. Don't hit him upside the head. Don't do that. Now, Mike was tripping and he was biting his gloves all crazy. And he said that he's got a fetish for biting, and so he was biting his gloves. A lot of people were saying that he was doing that because he was, standing on guard and, wasn't allowing a lot of stuff to happen. So it's very interesting. I'm not sure. I watched the fight. I was happy that Mike didn't hit the deck, that was what I was looking for. I would have liked to see Mike show the young boy what he was made of, all that talking that they had did and all that, this and that. But it's entertainment, and we look for entertainers to entertain. Now, we have saw Mike over the years, so we wanted to see him again. But now Mike is still talking. Now he's talking about Evander Holyfield with a trilogy. No, we don't want to see that. Oh, yeah, the people want to see it. No, you want to make some money doing what you do best, okay? And we understand that. But we don't want to see no fake boxing. We want to see real boxing. Jake Paul got called out by a lot of people as well because they see that ticket. They not getting that money in boxing, getting bust upside the head and brain damage and all of that, and not getting no Jake Paul ticket. So Jake Paul, he came out and he's doing some things. Him and his brother, came into the sport. And now this went on Mike's record, so Jake Paul now owns a piece of Mike Tyson going down in history as losing to, a young boy. I mean, nobody really, whatever. A lot of people said, oh, that was a sad fight. What did you think? Why would you get behind that anyway when you knew Mike was sick? So again, this is the new American perspective. And what we want to talk about here is we want to talk about new perspectives. We want to talk about what it is we need to do. And we got to stop playing towards this media, and we've got to start looking into what's real. We wanted that Mike Tyson fight to be real, and that's why we made it real. Okay. And so all these things going ahead, they were trying to make Kamala be the president of the United States, force it on us, and they've got to stop forcing it. Again, I would like to see in this next Congress, in this next Senate, pass the Senate laws about the media and about the media and the truth and telling the truth as far and telling when this is an opinion and when this is truth and standing behind that, because if we don't, America is going to fall apart anyway. So I hope I'm praying for President Trump. I'm praying for this new administration. I'm praying for Black America. I'm praying for white America. I'm praying for Indian America. I'm praying for all American citizens across the board. And I'm even praying for these migrants that we come up with a good idea and a good strategy for what we do next with them. Okay. But I'm with the whole remain in Mexico. I'm with, legal immigration. And I'm with us, everybody off the bench, everybody off, everybody's got to go to work. So if you thought that you were on disability and that was going to work for you the rest of your life and you really don't need disability, get up and get something, because now it's time for us to get real money in this country. I look forward to talking with you next week. This is your host, Jania Butler, with the New American Perspective, and I'll see you next week.